Hey guys, welcome to this tutorial, and here I'm going to show you how to create a stock price history lookup app in Vue.js and using a API called Vantage API, which is a stock price history lookup API. It's a free one and it's a bit limited, but for this application it's completely useful. There's the paid version, but we're not going to use that. So here I can search up a stock. So MSFD is for Microsoft, so if I search it up, it gets the oldest price history that it has is from 1999. There's obviously before that, but the free one only goes to 1999, and we can look it up in 5 years, in 1 year, and then 1 month. And also we can go to Amazon, search it up, and this is the max from 1999. We can go to 1 year, and we can only do 5 API calls per minute, so we get it undefined, but you get the point. We're just looking up stock price histories in using the Vantage API. I'll just wait for the minute to pass up so I can show you the Amazon section again, just to show that it works. So a minute has passed, and I'm going to just try this again. So if I go to Amazon and search, I get the Amazon app. It obviously rolls a lot from 1999 to 2022, rolls quite a bit. And I can go to 5 years, refresh 5 years, that's what I get. There was a problem where I'd get multiples of the same chart from left to right repeated. If I pressed 5 again, I fixed that, and it's only showing properly once each time I click it. So I can go to 1 year and the stock prices show properly. So we're going to create this in Vue.js. So we're also going to use Chart.js to bring up the charts, the stock charts, and we're going to use also Axios npm package. So those are the two Chart.js npm package and the Axios npm package are the two ones that we're going to use to install while coding up this application. So let's get into VS Code and let's get started, and we're going to Vue create practice 15, Vue 3, and as soon as this is all done loading up, I'll come back to this tutorial. Hey guys, so we're back. We've created the project, so I'm going to go ahead and open up the folder. So go to stock price history and practice 15. And npm run serve just to make sure it's working, and wait for that to all load up and load it up. So let's go to localhost, and that's all working. So let's go ahead and go to our source and go to components, hello Vue world. And I'm going to go ahead and delete all this stuff that's unnecessary. So I'll delete all that. And then I'm going to create a Vue component here called line chart. And it's going to be imported in the script tag. Import line chart from linechart.vue, and then here we have to enter in components line chart, then actually create the file and in components folder called linechart.vue, template, script, style, scoped. So first thing we're going to do is we have to, if we go to Chart.js and getting started, I believe we have to create canvas ID this part. So I'm going to go ahead and create that. Actually, I'm going to wrap this around a div called line chart, and copy and paste this right here. So it's a chart container div with canvas with ID chart width 400 pixels and height 400 pixels. That's going to get overridden later, but that's just the default settings. And then we have to install Chart.js. Let's go ahead and do that. npm install this. So let's move this for a second here and install that. And run serve. Open this back up, make sure it's going to work. And then we have to import chart from Chart.js/auto. And then we're going to create a let my chart variable here. We're going to create that, and then we're just going to reference it right after so we don't get an error of not using it. And then we're going to go to setup. First, we have to actually go to our export settings. So let's go to export default. Name is going to be line chart. And we need a mounted section since we want the chart to load up in the very beginning with some default values. We're gonna do that in a second. And then we want the setup function where we're going to actually code up the functions that we're going to use in mounted section. So we're going to do let's see, let update stock price history chart is equal to const ctx. I'm not sure what ctx stands for, but that's just what they did in the documentation. It says ctx right here and references the canvas ID. So we're going to do document get element by ID and my chart const, and this is just the input for the input format for the chart JS application itself. You can read that chartjs.org documentation if you want to go into more detail. There's a lot of YouTube videos for it. So I'm going to do const labels is equal to just some default values for now. Const data labels is going to be labels, data sets, label is going to be stock market price. That's going to be the just the name of the chart. Data, we're just going to add in some data. Let's see, 1, 2, like that. Fill, we don't want it to fill the bottom part of the line chart of where it's crossing the X, or we just don't want the bottom part of the chart to be filled. We want it to be a line that's just a single line. Border color RGB 75 192 192. Tension is equal to 0. Tension is how sharp or round the edges and corners of the price of the stock price connecting lines are. So in this case we want it to be jagged, so we're going to put 0, no smoothing of the curves. And options options, we want responsive is true. That's where we're going to format how big or small the chart is going to be, and maintain aspect ratio is going to be false. This is once again all in the documentation. You can look it up. That's what we have. I don't think we have anything. We have error. Chart is defined but never used. All right, so we have to go down here and let's see. Just looking at the code that I already have. So I'm going to say my chart is equal to new chart and ctx type line and data is going to be data, the values that we just created here, this data right here. This is assigned but never used, so let's go ahead and let's go down to the very bottom and return the function so we can actually reference it in mounted. Return update price. And then in the mounted section, we're just going to do this. That should work. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's make it a bit different. So let's do 1. Some more different values. Let's do that. So we have our data set properly working. So now now that we have the chart working properly, we just have to go back and grab the correct data from the Vantage API. Parse it so that it's organized the data so that we have the proper date range data, the proper data from the specified date range, and display that on command and refresh the chart right here. So now that we got the Chart.js working, just make sure, just look at console log just to make sure we don't have any errors. Nope, no errors. So we're going to go to we're going to go to, we can close the hello world, and now we have to go to Vantage API, and here you can, I think, just go to Stockholm and get your API key here today, and I've already created mine, so I'm not a robot. Palm trees. Verify, get free API key. So that's how you get your API key. I already have one, so that's going to be mine. So let's see, what I'm going to do is, so here I'm going to, right here, after everything that, after this function, after this, or method, I guess, in composition API, I'm going to say let stock symbol is equal to ref IBM, and I have to import import computed refs here. So let's do that. So import ref and computed from Vue. I'm going to use computed now. So I'm going to go to Vantage, and we're going to use monthly adjusted. You can use weekly adjusted or daily adjusted if you want more detail, but I'm just going to use monthly just to not, just to get, just as a broad range, doesn't really matter. So I'm going to select this, copy and paste that. And here I'm going to reference it. So I'm going to say, outlet Vantage API URL link is equal to computed, and return this, except we are going to symbol. I think that's the whole symbol right there. So we're going to do stock symbol dot value, And let's see if I do console log, if I do console log an API value, let's see if I get that. Console log. Yep, I get the IBM symbol and everything here working, and then I need the demo key, so let's get the working demo key that I have, enter that in right there, and that's the proper working demo key with the proper API call. So next I'm going to create the function to actually call the Axios function to call the API. So let create stock price history chart in specified date history range, and then date range, that's the that's going to be the epoch time value of how far we're going to go back in history to retrieve data from. And let's create this into a function, and let's install Axios. So let's go to Axios npm. Copy and paste that. Wait for that to install. Installed, and then let's import that into our app right here, and it's going to be import Axios from Axios, and we're gonna use Axios pretty heavily here. So let's go back down, and we're gonna do Axios get, and the value right there. Gotta love GitHub Copilot, it's really handy. And then we're gonna do then response stock market history is equal to response, and we're going to use reference date range. We're going to use that in a second. I just don't want to get the error message right here. And we're going to define a few variables in the very top. Or actually we can define it, I guess we can define it, yeah, I'm going to define it at the top. Define these 4 variables. Stock market history dates, stock market history epoch dates, and stock market history prices. So those are the 4 arrays that we're going to create at the very top. And stock market history is going to have the response of the whole API call right there. So if we do console log stock market price history, and let's see what we get. Refresh. Oh, let's npm run serve. Should work. So we get the price history data is assigned but never used. Okay, so let's just do this really quick right here. We're going to delete this in a bit. This is signed but never used. Let's copy and paste that down here. And let's just do this right here like that. And yeah, so we have this API call that we just did, and we get data here, and we get the monthly. If I just expand this out, we get the monthly adjusted time series, and this is the amount of data that we get. So we're gonna go sort through that. We're gonna go over that data and read that data and organize it properly so that we can actually use it. So let's see. We have date range right here. So if we do console log data.monthly adjusted time series, that's going to be just the data. So just the data is going to be called right here. So what we are going to do is we're going to use a for loop to loop through all of these data points and get and organize these into proper formats. We're also going to reformat this into date JavaScript date object readable format, so we can use it in date parse, so we can get the epoch times. So let's do that. We want to do for const property and this right here. And we're going to do let, I'm just going to copy and paste what I have, explain the code. So this is what I have. So closing price is going to be stock market price history.data, property, and number 4, which is closed. So number 4, which is closed right here, that's going to be that. So that's going to be the closing month, closing price. Closing date month is going to be property, which is this number here. That's the property. That's the property. That's the property. So we're going to split it by dash, and the second one, which is 1, since it starts from 0. The second one is the month, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way to 12. That's the month. So closing month is 12. The first value is the year, and the third value is the date. So closing date properly formatted is going to be all those added up with slashes instead. So we have the closing month, closing day, and closing date year, all separated by slashes. So that's the closing properly formatted. We're going to use that to also label the x-axis. And closing epoch time is going to be date parse the properly formatted date. This properly formatted date, so date JavaScript can read it properly, and divide that by 1000 because it's going to be in milliseconds, and we want it to be in seconds. So we're going to change that to divide it by 1000. So after we got all that, we're going to go ahead and do dot then and do let now is equal to date now divided by 1000. So that's also going to be in seconds, and let date range is equal to we don't need that part, we just want to minus the date range. So date range is the value that we have here. That's going to be the epoch time in seconds, how many seconds back in history you want to go to retrieve the history of the stock prices. So 1000 seconds would be I think, I don't know, a few minutes, maybe an hour back in history. That's going to be epoch time. So now minus the date range of how much back we want to go in history. And that's going to be the date range that we're going to get we're going to get so if this particular date, this changed epoch time is less than this date range, then we're going to we're going to add the values of the open, close, high, or I think just the close into the arrays that into the arrays that we created here, into the stock prices arrays. And we're also going to keep the epoch history dates that we want, that are going to be used in the y-axis and the x-axis. So let's do that. And so the way we're going to do it is we're going to use find index JavaScript function. So it's going to be right here. I'm just going to copy and paste it. It's going to be this. So I'm just going to show you how find index works in JavaScript. So the way it works is you have, if we want an element that is larger than 13, this is the function that we want to run the find index value through, and then we get the array, which is here, and then find index is larger number. So run output is 3, so we get 0, 1, 2, 3. The number 3 index is where the first element is greater than 13. That's how this works. So if I do like that, run, it becomes 4, and if I add a number at the back, it doesn't change. So that's what we want. So let's go back to our thing right here, and we want to say we have to create this function check of what we want the date history check to be done in. So const is later date than date range date is equal to date, return date range date. Let's see, what did I do here? Date range date, that's right. I have to add a date right there. So that's all done. So let's go ahead and so that's basically how that's done. And then we're going to splice. We're going to cut off the data. So we have so here we have the let's see, did we unshift it? No, we didn't. So we have to we forgot to add the data to our arrays. So remember, we created our arrays up here. We have to actually add the data into them. So let's do that. So we have stock market history dates and unshift the closing properly formatted dates. That's let's see. We are not going to. Let's see. We are not. Oh yeah, this is the close epoch time date. This is the properly formatted date. So this is for the x-axis label that we're going to create. So we're gonna unshift that. This, we don't want to use push. We want to use unshift because we want to add it to the very last of. We want to add it to the beginning of the inserts element starts at the start. Yeah, we want to insert it at the beginning of the array each time we do it, so it gets ordered prop in from. So when it's displayed on the chart, it goes from the oldest date to the newest date. And then we want to, on the stock market history epoch dates, epoch dates array, we want to unshift the closing date epoch time. So that's going to be filled with that data, and we want to do stock market history prices, unshift closing prices. So we're only using closing prices to add to these four these dates, these arrays. So we can delete that. And let's see, we can, so now that we have the find index of is later, so we have the index of what the date range that we selected is, and we're going to if we select a very long, very big number for our date range, it's going to go back all the way down in history to the farthest date we have back in time. So that's going to create the max data, and then the 5-year data, and then the 1-year data. So the shorter the smaller the epoch time date that we go back in time in, the more recent the data becomes. So we want to do this next part. This part right here is stock market history dates. We just entered the data here, unshift right here. Remember that we just entered the data right there. So we want to splice it from 0 to the index of where we got the data to be in the range that we want to find it in. So we want to delete that. That's what splice does. And we want to do the same thing for prices. We have the dates for the dates. So we have the data for the dates updated to the date range that we want, and we have the data for the stock price histories for the date range that we want as well, and that's spliced to the index that we found here as well. So after we got all that done, we want to actually run the want to run this function right here to update the chart. So let's do that. And it's right now it's not going to do anything. If we go back to our chart, it's not going to do anything because we haven't updated the data. We have to set this to the correct data, and we have to set this label to the correct label. But we are getting an error here. Canvas is already in use, right? So interesting thing about Chart.js is it doesn't like updating new charts. Updating charts when there's already an existing chart, and updating the data for the chart is a little tricky, so I just opted out for deleting the chart and repopulating it from 0 again. I just found that easier to do this for this tutorial. It's a little bit complicated to do it the proper way. If you want to do it the way where you're updating the data for the chart, you can figure that out. I couldn't find the information on Stack Overflow, but anyways, the way that I did it is pretty simple. So I think I went to setup. So I went to I don't need this part. Let's go to setup, and I'm just seeing where I put that information there. So here, if I have to check if so right here, let my chart is equal to null. I'm not sure if I need that part. Let's delete that. So I check if the chart is already defined. So if I do chart, get chart, and then my chart, that's the chart that we created here, my chart. And if that's not undefined, then I want to destroy. If that is defined, then I want to destroy it. If it's not, then I want to create a new one. So if I do that, then it creates the new one properly. I don't get the error message. I don't need this part right here. And the most fun part is we want to change this. We want to change this to stock market history dates. No, we want it to be, let's see, we want it to be stock market history prices. And for labels, we want stock market history dates. So now let's see if that works. Undefined. Let's see. That might be because we've been refreshing the page often and we're not getting the data. So you might have to wait a minute. So I'll wait a minute and I'll come back to this tutorial. Okay, so the data is working. So if I refresh the page, it populates the data, and we have, I believe this is the last, this is from the beginning, from 1999 to all the way up to 2021, and that's because we haven't, if we change this to say 60 seconds multiplied by 60 seconds multiplied by 24 multiplied by, that's 1 year, I think. 60 seconds, 60 minutes, 24 hours, 365 days. So that's going to be 1 year. So we have it from April 27, 2022 to April 30th, 2021. So that's just the number that we want on how long ago we want it to be. And we can just create a very large number here for now. And it'll get the max data. We've we just refreshed it 5 times in a row, so we have to wait again. But you get the point. So while I wait for that to happen, I'm going to go ahead and create the buttons at the top to actually format this. So I'm going to create a form. Div class. Oh, let's our chart updated. So yeah, so this is the max range since we created a very large number for the date range. And here we're going to not class, but let's see, chart and buttons container. Form action null. ID is going to be stock symbol search form, and on submit we want to prevent, and then we want to run the function here. I want to run this function with a very large number. That should be enough, and that is, I think that's the name, that's proper, yeah, that's the name of the function that we just created with the date range. And then let's see, and then we want to let's see, I'm just checking what I did with my code here. Okay, so let's see. Then I'm going to create an input, and this is going to be a type text, name, stock symbol search, placeholder, enter the symbol of the stock you want to search, and ID is going to be stock symbol search bar, and V model, so we can bind it to stock symbol. So let's see if we have that going on. And then we want to, right after the form, we want to do break and p paragraph active stock symbol. It's going to equal to stock symbol. Let's see if it shows up here. Nothing shows up. I'm not sure if we created that down here. We have, yes, we have. We just didn't return it yet. So let's stock symbol. Yep. So it's IBM Amazon. So that's working. And then we want to create the 5 buttons to actually customize the date range. So initially when we first searched the option, we wanted to go all the way back in time and history with this huge number. And then afterwards, we want to be able to update it with the date ranges here. Obviously, I haven't coded 1 week and 1 day, but you get the point. You can code those parts yourself. And then I'm going to just add a bit of CSS at the very bottom. So here I create a date range buttons and button add click. I want to create a date range I want to run this function with, I believe that's 1 day in seconds, 1 week in seconds, 1 month in seconds, 1 year in seconds, and 5 years in seconds, and then again a very large number for max. And at the very bottom, I'm just going to add some CSS. So that's what we get. So let's see. IBM max 5 years, and this is what I was talking about earlier. I get these information. The arrays kind of work a bit awkwardly. So what happens is, what I want to do is I have to go back to, I have to check if there's already data populated, and if there is, I want to remove it and start from scratch each time this the function for creating stock symbol is getting run. So to do that, I'm going to, let's see. So right here, I'm going to do this. So empty array if something is already in there. If stock market history date's length is greater than 0, then we want to empty out these arrays, create them back into null. So IBM max, whoops, why is it not showing? Refresh, undefined. Let's see. Seems like I'm doing it right. Not sure why it's not showing up here. Let's see if I just remove all this again. What happens? Oh, I think it's because no, that's not refreshing it. That is. Okay, so I just did it 5 times in a row, so I have to wait again 1 minute. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back, and I just realized that I forgot to create a submit button. I think that might have been the reason why I haven't been able to populate it with the new data. So so input type button search type submit and class submit, and let's see if that works. Search IBM. Nope, that's not working either. But we had to add that button anyway, so I'm just gonna go back and figure out what the problem is. Okay, so I found an error that I had in my code, and at the very bottom here, when I added update stock price history chart, I actually have to add that in right inside here. So it's part of the Axios call, API call. So that was giving us the error. So now that I have the proper code there, I'm just going to add in my API key again. API key. I was just testing things around, and now if I go to Microsoft search, I get the max value and 5 years. 5 years. Whoops. I have to add this back in so I don't get the repeated errors. So if the stock is if the stock price history date's length is greater than 0, and something's in there, then I want it to appear to reset it, and so that it doesn't repeat from left to right again over and over again on the x-axis. So if I refresh the page, I get IBM 5 years, press it again, and I don't get the repeat. If I type in Amazon, if I type in Microsoft, just to do it again for, oops, I get the error again, so I have to wait 1 minute. I'll be right back. Okay, so if I search Microsoft, I get this data, and it's all the way to the right here. If I type in 5 years, again, I get that, and I don't get a messed up one. If don't get the repeat from the x-axis if I press the same button twice. If I type in Amazon, search, I get that, and then if I type in Max again, of course I'm going to get the error because I just did 5 times in a row again. But you get the point. That's how this app works. So just to recap the last bug that I fixed, this is the correct portion of the code to add in. This is to make sure that the graph doesn't repeat itself from left to right over and over again. And I had to this was actually outside here. That's what the error was, and I had to move that back inside, so it was within the Axios API call right here. And that fixed the error, that fixed the bug. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I hope this app shows you a useful way to use Vue.js 3, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.